Oh, come on, friend, he's here. Oh, come on. Hey, lama sotoya. Come on, lift hands, lift voices to it. Oh, yeah. Lord, we declare this over the nation. I see your glory covering the earth, Lord, just like the water covering the sea. I see the millions coming to salvation. I see revival, fire in the land. I see the lost, nameless ones remembered. I hear the widow shouting out your praise. I see the friendless loved and celebrated. Orphans fulfilling, Lord, the calling on their lives. We say, do it, Lord, do it, Lord. Do it, Lord, we are praying. Do it, Lord, do it, that your glory may be seen, yeah. Do it, Lord, do it, Lord. Do it, Lord, we are praying. Do it, Lord, do it, that your glory may be seen. And I see forgiveness overtaking hatred, pride and prejudice now giving way to love. I see depression replaced with joy and gladness, and Satan's lies now bowing to the truth. Oh, I see forgiveness overtaking hatred, pride and prejudice now giving way to love. Oh, I see depression replaced with joy and gladness, and Satan's lies, they are bowing to the truth. We say, do it, Lord, do it, Lord. Do it, Lord, we are praying. Do it, Lord, do it, that your glory may be seen. Yeah. Do it, Lord, do it, Lord. Do it, Lord, we are praying. Do it, Lord, do it, that your glory. Come on, lift your hand and say it. We say, do it, Lord, do it, Lord. Do it, Lord, we are praying. Do it, Lord, do it, that your glory may be seen. Oh, do it, Lord, do it, Lord. Do it, Lord, we are praying. Do it, Lord, do it, that your glory may be seen. And I see the brokenness of families brought to wholeness. I see every prodigal running home to you. Oh, fathers' hearts, they are turning toward their children, and children's hearts, they are turning toward their fathers. And I see the church rising up in power, oh, laying down their lives in unity and love. Oh, and I hear the sound of every tribe and nation. They are giving glory to Jesus Christ the Son. We say, do it, Lord, do it, Lord. Do it, Lord, we are praying. Do it, Lord, do it, that your glory may be seen. Lord, we cry out, do it, Lord, do it, Lord. Do it, Lord, do it, that your glory may. One more time. I see the brokenness of families brought to wholeness. I see the prodigals running home to you. Oh, fathers' hearts, they are turning toward their children, and children's hearts, they are turning toward their fathers. I see the church rising up in power, laying down their lives in unity and love, yeah. Oh, and I hear the sound of every tribe and nation, oh, giving glory to Jesus Christ the Son. We say, do it, Lord, do it, Lord. Do it, Lord, we are praying. Do it, Lord, do it, that your glory may. Oh, we say, do it, Lord, do it, Lord. Do it, Lord, we are praying. Do it,
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Ekklesia of Oklahoma weekly live stream. I'm Kyle Brown.
I'm Hannah Silk.
And guys, we have a jam-packed day of updates and interesting information coming to you, everything that happened last week and everything coming up. Before we get started, Hannah, let's talk a little bit about what we've been doing for the past week here at the Ekklesia of Oklahoma.
Yeah, we've been getting ready to launch abortion-free states. We're really excited to be able to take this message to the nation, and things are really developing, and it's been really awesome to get to see that happen. So that's been really exciting. We've been preparing for the General Flynn event coming up, which we've talked about a little bit, and we'll talk about more in a minute. Tina Brown has been at the abortion clinic in Oklahoma City. She's so faithful to go down there, and the team of people that go with her. Thank you guys so much for doing that. I know there were 3 babies that were saved from abortion just last week or the week before, so that's always super exciting.
Awesome. Yeah, guys, as we travel and we spread the message of abolition and what we're doing here at the Ekklesia of Oklahoma, what we realized is we needed a vehicle to help go national with what we're doing. And so through the suggestion of multiple people that pour into our lives, we are launching a national organization called Abortion Free States here soon. More information with that to come. So that's been taking a lot of our time. But also, I know a lot of people mention that we do a lot in the fight against abortion. How do they get involved? How do they get active? If you guys want to, if you desire or you want to reach out or you want to be on the front lines ministering at the abortion clinic, leading people to Christ, praying for them, interceding for them, talking to mothers, trying to get them to get an ultrasound so they won't murder their child, email at us at info@ekkok.com. That's the best way to get a hold of us, and we'll connect you with the right people, with Tina, anybody you need to get a hold of that. So kind of a general overview we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking a little bit about what's happening here in the state, upcoming events, the interesting things that happened at the Black Lives Matter rally that happened in Tulsa. Crazy stuff. Also, we'll be speaking to John Killian here shortly, who is the campaign manager for Jackson Lawmeyer, and I want to we wanted to bring him on, one, because he's an amazing guy, phenomenal campaign manager. That guy works his tail off.
He does.
And one, just to kind of give us some information, maybe a heads up that we don't know of what's happening on the campaign trail, what he sees, and how we as the Ekklesia of Oklahoma can help. So then we're going to also be talking about our weekly legislator that we're praying for, that we're interceding for, and a few other things. So let's start off with this. Can you try to get John on the phone so we can chat with him?
Absolutely.
So guys, if you give us just a second, we're going to try to get John Killian on the phone for you real quick. That you're not coming through. Okay, now you're coming through. Thank you, Leah. So we'll start that over. John, how you doing, man?
Good. How about you guys? How are you?
Good. Busy as usual. I know you are much busier than we are. I know that you have a full-time job. You are an associate pastor, and you are the campaign manager for Jackson Lawmeyer.
That is correct. I run a full-time schedule, as well as being married and 4 kids.
4 kids. That's phenomenal, man. What's your secret?
There is no secret. Lots of energy drinks and working out. That is the secret to life.
Lots of energy drinks, working out. I'm trying my best to do the energy drink part and trying my best to do the working out part. But from looking at you, you have me beat already. So, um, well, good, man. Well, hey, we want to bring you on here just to ask you a little bit about one. What's happened with the Longmire campaign? I know the excitement's high. The people in Oklahoma are responding really well everywhere I've been. But from your perspective, how are the people receiving Jackson Longmire in the campaign?
It is growing extremely well. We're getting a huge influx of just people just being excited that there's new people running, new candidates, but especially Jackson has ignited the ground game for Oklahoma. Just the people that have sat around for years and not participated in politics or in this in the country, we would say, have come out of the closets, we'd say, and said, you know what, it's time to just go forward. It's time to get on. I mean, I've had so many people come up to me, never donated to a campaign before, max donations, $2,900.
Wow.
Just write a check, and they come out and they say, how do I get involved? And so it is literally so incredibly humbling to go out there. I mean, every event we go to, whether it's an OK2A event, whether it's an OPAC event, whatever it is, they've had record crowds, literally record crowds after record crowds after record crowds. And you're just thinking to yourself, this is crazy, but the movement is real. And it's humbling at the least.
That's awesome. With my limited experience I have with campaigns, the things that I've seen that have separated statewide campaigns, local campaigns from being effective or not being effective is one is part of it is money. Now what the establishment views as an amount of money is crazy because how much they waste their money on. But some money is needed, and the second thing that's needed is energy. And I tell you what, you and Jackson definitely have energy. It doesn't matter what side of the state I'm on. You guys seem to be lapping me or there in the back the next day. So go ahead.
That's the crazy part about it. Energy is the name of the game, but we're a little bit younger, so we have a lot of it. But I'll tell you, we have had so much fun with this. There's no room for discouragement. We have literally hit the ground running every day. I wake up and I'm full of energy, and we give that credit not just to the people, but also to God. He has given us the ability to do what we do every day.
Praise God. And you definitely, the country right now, we're having a pivotal moment. I know you believe this as well, but we're having a pivotal moment that what has just happened in our election cycle, with a stolen election, with a fraudulent election, with Marxist, socialist, communist people running in with their agendas and trying their best to disguise and even move forward with something that was an atrocity to our nation, people still, they're not forgetting. And usually in the history of our timeline of politics, the timeline to forget stuff is really quick. But what I've seen coming to your guys' events, it's really amazing to see. One is who Jackson is. He speaks plainly. He speaks to the people. He speaks very simply what we need as a country, godly principles, but also the truth. In an age of people being not genuine, he seems to be one of the most genuine people out there. But one question I had for you, John, is what do you see is I would say the biggest is the biggest challenge for you guys? What do you see that is there any challenge that you see that you're hitting or coming up against that? What's your opinion on that?
Well, I to be honest with you, I would say just name recognition at this very second.
Yeah.
Because Jackson is so new still to politics and to this run. His name is there, but it's not there. I would say that the biggest obstacle we run right now is just getting out and getting in front of as many people as we can. I don't care where we have to drive to. Literally, I don't care. We will drive the entire state. I will do it in the same day. I've got people already from Jackson County, which is in the southwest corner of the state, Altus area, calling me. It's 4 hours and 19 minutes away from Tulsa.
Ooh.
I'm going to drive there and I'm going to drive back. I'm going up to Guymond. I think it's Guymond or Guthrie or what, Guymond. I think it's Guymond. Yep. It's 5 hours and 22 minutes away from Tulsa.
Yep.
I'm gonna drive there. I don't care where we have to go. The name that we're gonna do here is we're gonna go everywhere. We want every person to know who Jackson is and where he stands, and let them pick who they want to go with, because at the end of the day, that's the choice of the people. But I'm going to tell you, when they get to meet Jackson, they're going to be on fire. And the next thing I know it, I'm going to have 5,000 or 6,000 people calling me, trying to get me to, let them be on the campaign. And I'll be like, hey, I got plenty of positions open. Where do you want to go?
Absolutely. I think that's what's cool, is that the people, like, he is unknown, but I think people are looking for that. They're looking for a fresh candidate who isn't establishment, isn't bought by every PAC and big industry that there is. And so I think that is huge for Jackson, because he's not. He nobody owns him, and he's bold, and that's exactly what people want right now in the political climate. That's what they're looking for. So it's a challenge because of the lack of name recognition, but it's also, I think, exactly where he needs to be. So
Absolutely.
It's great in both ways. And I would say that it's just one of those things that when we really look at it, it's great to see this, because now people can get somebody that they know is not bought by PACs, is not bought by, McConnell, is not bought by all these GOP people.
That's right.
But really is just kind of just running the way that God has called him to run.
Yep.
And I believe that is exactly why he's had so much success in what he's doing. There's nothing more, nothing less than that.
That's awesome. One of the things I think is really exciting for me to see, 3 years ago, the reason I even got started in this whole game of politics was I helped out with a campaign called Dan Fisher for governor. He was running for governor, grassroots candidate, and he appealed broadly to people. But in the entirety of his campaign, he only raised about $300,000. Now, if I'm not correct, or correct me if I'm wrong on this, John, but Jackson's already surpassed that, hasn't he, in his first little stint?
No, so what we've basically had is we're about 200,000. Now we're on pace to overtake 300,000 by all stretch of the imaginations. But numbers is what I do. So when we come down to it, we're on this stretch of the second quarter. We're going to surpass $250,000 in 3 months. Now that basically tells you we're doing $100,000 almost a month in just donations. But that's not including how much an average donation really is, which is only $78, guys.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So if you talk about that, and then you start doing the numbers, we're getting thousands of people to donate, thousands. And that means that the real thing is that it's not just one person. It's a rise up of people
That's right.
that are saying, I'm taking this country back, and it doesn't matter what we have to do. We're going to come out in numbers, and we're going to do what it takes.
Guys, if you guys just heard what he said, a grassroots campaign, a man with basically no name recognition before he started, has already raised pretty much $250,000 in his first quarter, and they're going to surpass that. That is unheard of. And what that means now with an unknown name recognition, what happens when the people of Oklahoma find out about Jackson Lawmeyer? Even more.
Yeah.
Oh, this is going to be an incredible ride from now until June of next year when the primaries happen. And I will say that just based off of what God has, put in place, especially with the amount of people that want to come on and volunteer. I mean, I'm getting hundreds of volunteers a day. Hundreds. We're not talking about 10, 20, 30. We're talking hundreds of volunteers a day. And trust me, I can take hundreds more. I can take as many as want to come on.
That's awesome.
What? If I get the entire block, great. We'll go to the next block, and then we'll go to the next block, because the more people get on board with it, the better this country is going to be.
That's awesome. And I think you see that reflected in his social media too. Y'all are outstripping every other political social media in the state except for the governor by a lot.
Absolutely.
Which is
Absolutely.
awesome.
That's phenomenal. And the cool thing is we haven't even talked about his endorsements, which is crazy. So that's this is just it's phenomenal for me from the outside to see the hand of God in this exposing, because you really see what happened to our country in the past few months. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
And the people aren't forgetting about it. And for sure, I know what God's doing in the midst of this is a big deal. So before we let you go, John, I want you to, if you get a chance, if there's anything that you could express to the grassroots, the people, what do you need from us to help further the campaign, help further the efforts?
3 things that Jackson always says, and think the 3 things that are ingrained in my head are the things that we expect the most. The prayer. Mm-hmm. Jackson needs a lot of prayer. He wants to be guided by God in what he does and everything he does. Social media. like, comment, share,
That's
tag
right.
friends in all of his pages. Go
That's good.
like his page. Go like the congressional districts.
Yep.
Get involved inside of those pages,
That's right.
because we're going to send out a lot of information. Guys, I'm only one person. If I sent out enough texts a day for all of you to understand that, I would be way behind every day.
Yeah.
However, those are two things. But guys, we need a financial backing as well. If it's $5, it's $10, it's $25. You can give a $5 monthly. There's some things on the website for that. Go to jacksonlawmeyer.com. Once again, that's Jackson Lawmeyer, and Lawmeyer is spelled LAHMEYER.com. Or you can text the word Jackson22 to 474747, and you can get weekly updates. You can get where we're going to be at, where we're going to be speaking, all of the insides and outs. But guys, we are doing this because God has called us to do this, and we look forward to partnering with each and every person that's going to be on this cast or even listen to this later.
Awesome. Well, John, thank you so much for joining us for our live stream today. And if you guys that are listening, June 26th in Oklahoma City, in Edmond, there's 2 different events happening, but both of those are going to be featuring Jackson Lawmeyer.
Yep.
John Killian will be at all of them, running around like a chicken with his head cut off. He is the man on the spot always. So if
It's like the Energizer Bunny.
I tell you what, if you see John at any of those events, grab him, shake his hand, say thank you, and ask him what can you do. So June 26th, be there for Jennifer. We'll be talking about that a little bit later. But John, thanks again, brother, and have a great day.
Thank you, guys.
God bless.
God bless.
Guys, whew, that was fun. That's exciting to see such excitement coming through for somebody, really, Jackson and John, who are experienced in different areas that relate to campaigning, but new to the area of campaigning. And just the force that they're coming at our state and what God's doing with them is just exciting.
It really is. It's awesome. And we were just talking about this today. Used to, when I first got involved in politics, like probably, 8 years ago, most of your battle was convincing people that you have to care and you have to get involved.
Yep.
We don't have to fight that anymore. I don't have to go around convincing people to get involved because of the state that our country is and the state that we are.
Yep.
People are ready to get involved. They just know. Like, you see the facts, you see everything from the election to the stuff that happened last summer with like BLM and all of that.
Right.
You don't have to convince people to get involved anymore, which is literally more than half the battle.
Yep.
So it's awesome.
It's really interesting that you see this because as we travel the state with the Ekklesia of Oklahoma, educating people about how Christians get involved in government. Mm-hmm. Like what she said, the hardest thing when we first started this was convincing Christians they needed to come to a political meeting.
Yep.
And now it's like no matter where you go, Christians are getting involved. I was just in a meeting with a lady this morning. She texted me, said, "Hey, I've heard you're in this position. Can you help me out?" And the whole meeting was, I know I've never been involved in politics before.
Yep.
And you hear this story everywhere. Guys, I wasn't ever involved in politics before, but after I saw what they did to Trump, after I saw what's happening in our nation, after I saw this, I realized if I don't get involved, nothing's going to change.
Exactly.
And that's the exciting thing is the answer to the state, the answer to every problem that our society has is why we're called the Ekklesia of Oklahoma, is the church.
Yeah.
And right now, God is waking up, God is educating, God is teaching people, and we're doing our best to keep up.
Yeah.
And so we're not the only organization doing this for sure. There's many throughout the state, but we're doing our best to keep up with the work. And speaking about that, activism, what can you do on a day-by-day basis? Because that was one of the questions that gets asked all the time. What can you do? What can I do as a citizen of Oklahoma to actually help in the effort to change our state, to change our nation back to godly government? And usually the first answer is you need to operate with godly principles.
Yep.
In the smallest, closest sphere you can touch. And you always hear that with school board, city elections, state representative, state senate. Yep. And right here, guys, I want to kind of do a big list of districts up here and coming in the next election. They're going to be terming out. So if you are in these districts, I want to kind of go through them real quick, if that's okay.
Yeah, these are specifically Senate districts.
Senate districts. These are state Senate seats in the state of Oklahoma. If you are a Christian and you're listening to this, and you know that these are your senators, or you know you live in this district, you should be asking yourself, God, are you calling me to run for that seat? Mm-hmm. Or do you know somebody that would be perfect to run for that seat? That would be a good candidate that loves God, that has godly principles, and that has the type of character and the reputation to actually run for the seat. So district, see what we got here. District 4, Mark Allen is terming out. If you live in Mark Allen's district, we need a godly man there. We right now in our state legislature have 2 openly abolitionists and a 3rd that votes for abolition bills, and we need more. Mark Allen. Now in District 2, Marty Quinn is terming out, but we already know of somebody. Don't want to say his name here yet, but we have somebody that's going to be running in District 2, which is going to be a pretty big bombshell to the state of Oklahoma. So District 2, look out for a man of God who is going to turn the state upside down, I believe. So District 4, Mark Allen. District 14, Frank Simpson. District 18, Kim David. And next, be prepared too, guys that are in Jake Merrick's district. District 22, Jake won a special election, so he's going to be running again this next time for the same seat in about a year and a half. So we're going to
need your help again.
We're going to have to light the fires again, knock on doors again. They redistricted him too, so we're going to have a new set of voters we're going to be reaching out to, but we need your help there. So all those seats are Republican seats, and if you live in, those are all Republican seats for those terming out. And so
they're going to be open. So somebody will be running for them.
And
we'd rather get somebody in there who has godly principles, believes the Constitution, actually votes according to the Constitution. So that's the key. And then we have another list of Democratic seats that we should switch to Republican.
Yes. So in the state of Oklahoma, we have 2 problems. We have a Democrat problem, which is kind of minor. But we have more of a Republican and name only problem. So the Democrats, though, there are districts in Oklahoma that'll be a little bit more difficult to flip these, a little more difficult to switch them because general elections tend to go to Democrat voters, and that's a little bit more difficult thing to do.
It is.
To convert a Democrat vote to a Republican vote than it is to actually just tell people, hey, these guys aren't Republican. They go this way a little bit easier. But those are District 16, Mary Boren, District 30, Julia Kirk, District 40, Carrie Hicks, District 44, Michael Brooks, District 46, Kay Floyd, and District 48, George Young. So those are all seats that if you are listening to this, guys, and you're thinking, what do I do to get involved? The basic level, you live in any of those districts, jump on in. Okay, so up next, let's talk a little bit about what happened, what's happening right now in our nation with Black Lives Matters, with the I would say the storm of forced, I don't even want to call it racism. I don't want to call it that. I want to call it, how would you say it? Class politics. I think that's a better way to say it. Class politics that's happening in our nation, that's being fueled by corporations, being fueled by liberal corporations, and those who have a incentive to continue to distribute or create dysfunction, disorder in our country. And guys, we want to play a video for you here that is pretty insane. This march took place this last week in Tulsa, and if you have any questions like, man, what is why do you guys not like Black Lives Matters? Doesn't it mean Black Lives Matters? Isn't it against racism? Guys, openly on the documents, you've already heard, if you listen to this, you already know this for the most part, but Marxist, and they're openly Marxist in their writings. The leaders of it are Marxist, and that's why you see a class party politics. That's why it's Black Lives Matter, specifically. One race matters. Trying to divide our population by race even more so. And so you'll see this is, what does that lead to? You intentionally divide a culture by class, by race, by any type of organization other than the individual, and you're getting ready to see on this video what it leads to.
We're pushing death to white supremacy.
That's right.
Death to capitalism.
That's right.
Death to imperialism, and death to fascism. We're pushing an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth.
Yes, sir.
A head for a head.
Goddamn
and
right.
a life for a life.
Now,
These demons of white supremacy bust us upside the head and brought us over here to pick cotton so they can get rich, so they can get wealthy.
that's what they did.
But I would like to tell you, even though you are not in Africa, Africa was born in you.
Now.
Africa was born in you.
Now.
Black man had his damn gun.
Now.
Because when it's time,
Practice
it's
level.
that hand. Because that time is coming, we have to rat-a-tat-tat. And when that time is coming and rat-a-tat-tat, Cracker will kill everything white in sight. They ain't right.
Now.
Because all what you have done to us, all what you've done with a 6,000 year span of killing 600 million of us and 400 180 years in particular, and 150 million in the past. Them time the day is up, because this is the time, and this is the state of the race of dress, because they are a race. They're trying to hold on to power, because race has beginning and an ending. And your Indian time has been up since 1914. No good, Peckerwood.
No.
It's the time
No
of
good,
the
Peckerwood.
rebirth of the black nation and the salvation of us in the hells of North America and throughout the African world of Pan-Africanism. This is the time when Malcolm talked about. A time that we put our difference to the side. That's right. Yes. And when we come out with a united front. Yes. And that united front today is all the black, revolutionary, progressive, strong, uncompromising organizations here in the hells of North America that will give this crack of hell from the cradle to the grave.
They put us through vicious suffering, vicious oppression. And when we defend ourselves, once they die, we must understand we can never give them the pain that they gave us. So once they get buried, Khalid Abdul Muhammad taught us, once they are buried, we must bury them, dig them up, and kill them again. Bury them, dig them up, and kill them again. Bury them, dig them up, and kill them again. And again, and again.
And there you have it, guys. Kill everything white in sight. And our false president,
Yeah.
Joe Biden, says the biggest threat to society right now is white supremacist. Where do you see white supremacist marches that say kill black people, do this type of thing? Where do you see that?
Yeah, I mean, well, and I heard Jackson Lawmeyer say this at an event recently. White supremacists didn't cause millions of dollars worth of damage to cities.
Yeah.
They just didn't. Now, I'm not saying that they're not out there and it's not evil, but they're not the ones that are out there
right,
burning buildings, telling people to go kill everything white in sight. Like,
yep.
And it's just, there are people in our country who have every intent to divide and to destroy, and they want to undermine the very principles that this country is built on. And they're using Black Lives Matter and a lot of people
right.
who are uneducated to further their cause. Because when you're uneducated, you don't have the ability
right.
to be like, oh, well, this is truth and this isn't truth because you've never been told. And so that gives you an opportunity to
right.
be used by someone and manipulated by someone to destroy things, which is what we're seeing.
And I think it's everything that the enemy does. He never does it with a mean face.
No.
He never does it and says, "Hey, I'm evil. I have bad ideas. Come follow me." Mm-hmm. That's why they're even using the moniker, "You're racist if you don't believe Black Lives Matters." Right. So they're actually using the very things they're perpetuating, and they can't even see it. Yeah. That's why at the beginning it was really funny if you listen to it. It says, "Death to capitalism, death to fascism, death to whitey." Like, if you want death to capitalism, if you want death to fascism, if that's so, what are you going to supplement there for?
If you don't have capitalism, you don't have fascism.
You don't have socialism. You don't have communism.
What are you going to have?
What are you going to have? Anarchy.
Absolutely.
All out anarchy. So
which is what we saw in Seattle and
right.
all across the country.
That's right.
That's what they want.
That's right.
That's what they want.
And so guys, it's such a ploy of the enemy, and it's hard because it's working on many brothers and sisters in Christ that I know and love. Yep. That they're being pushed, peer pressure to say, well, you're wicked. I even had a legislator's wife tell me, Kyle, you just don't understand. You're innately racist because you're white. If you call an entire race anything, and you convict them of anything, that's racism.
The definition of
That's
racism.
the definition of racism. Biblically, what God views is he always looks to the individual.
Yep.
That is the only way that will protect a group of people.
Yep.
That is the only way. If you isolate that to a race, you're going to eliminate an entire race of people.
Yep.
You're going to oppress an entire group of people. Every socialist, every communist, every big, I I would say, I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. Every genocide that's ever happened
Absolutely.
has happened in the name of class politics.
Yep.
From Pol Pot to Stalin to Hitler, it was all class politics, guys. And this is the same thing that they're perpetuating. So if you're listening to this and you're wondering, man, Black lives kind of matter. Well, of course they do.
Well, yeah.
Of course they do. And that's why they've done it. But they have done a phenomenal job of now the president is out there saying, hey, white supremacy is the issue, while we have armed African Americans marching the street saying death to whitey. And tell you what, we condemn any group that said that.
Absolutely.
Any group that said that. It's just insanity. So, guys,
Really
that's happening in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
In Oklahoma. This is not New York or California.
That's right.
In Oklahoma. And then we have the false president come and, condone it.
So if you have any more incentive, that's right. If you have any more incentive to elect Republicans that actually have guts, that actually have needs in our culture today, we don't need weak-spined Republicans that just want to vote on financial bills and just reach across the aisle. No. If you ever hear a Republican say, I want to reach across the aisle, that should be your immediate throne.
Do not vote for him.
Do not vote for them.
Do not. Yeah. I think what's interesting is if you look at this from a Christian perspective and from a spiritual perspective, this isn't like leftists and rightists. This is good and evil. And we can clearly see, like, the evil is becoming more and more exposed, and it's just so evident. I remember back when all the BLM riots first started happening, I watched a video collage of these instances where police officers would go and, like, cross the line and go and just, like, hug on these, like, young black men and women who were so angry and, like, violent, and these police officers would go and just hug them. And It was the most moving thing I ever. There were video after video of these kids just breaking down and crying because they're hurting.
That's right.
And these movements, it's not just people. It's demonic. There are demonic forces at play. If you believe that Satan is real, why would you not, like, he's clearly doing stuff. He's clearly trying.
That's right.
And this is one of the areas he's trying in, and it's so sad because what you said about them not seeing the individual. They aren't. And it's so sad because there are hurting individuals in that movement who are being used. Their trauma and their pain is being used. And it was just the most moving thing I had ever seen. Like, it just made me cry because I was like, these people are actually hurting.
That's right.
And so I think it's interesting because obviously as a conservative, as a Republican, I definitely condemn Black Lives Matter. But it's interesting as a Christian to even look past that and to see the hurt and the pain that these people are operating under. And just to keep that perspective as well, because we don't want to just be angry. We don't want to just do what they would do, and just be violent against them. Obviously, we're gonna protect our country, however we need to.
That's right.
But to also keep that perspective of good versus evil, like the demonic things that are at work, and just the pain and the suffering that these people who are manipulating people are causing. I just hate it.
Yeah, that's right. One of the things I think, I had a meeting with a gentleman earlier this week, and wisdom was pouring. He's a very extremely wise man. And one thing he said to me, he said, Kyle, do you realize why the Democrats, one of the big reasons why the Democrats have been winning for years and years and years? I said, why? He's like, they're benevolent. Yeah. They use government to do it. Mm-hmm. But when somebody says, hey, we actually want to help the poor, no, it doesn't matter if they do actually.
Right.
But if they're making statements about it, they're telling you, they're saying it, they're talking about it, and the other side really isn't.
Right.
I mean, we've accepted for the longest time in the church, we've ceded our ground in the culture to say, yeah, the government can take care of charity, and we're not going to have this big voice saying we're taking care of people, but we're going to let them do it. That's why our culture, if you go to any university, which is why even part of this next thing we're going to show, if you go to any university, by face value, who are those that are reaching out to the poor?
Yeah, it's not the church.
It's a leftist.
Yeah.
It's a leftist. And that's not to say that every church is like that, every pastor, because
Obviously.
There's so many men and women of God that are doing that. But the voice for justice in our culture right now, the biggest voice I'd say is decrying justice, are leftists. And so much so this is even happening in, guys, this is crazy. The same thing you saw in that video we showed a second ago. I don't know if you guys know who this is, but he's a journalist, and he was almost killed in Portland. Andy, his name is spelled N-G-O, go. He was a journalist just documenting, wanting to go inside Antifa, show their tactics, see what's happening. Yeah. He was literally pelted in the head and beaten with cement milkshakes. And it gave him a hemorrhage in his brain. He almost died, stayed in the hospital for a very long time. He was just in Portland last week again, and they found out he was there.
Oh my gosh.
And they tackled him to the ground, started beating him again. His testimony is, I thought I was going to die again. And he said, please don't kill me. And he waited, and they started gathering around him until finally he saw an opening. He took off into the Nines Hotel. Guys, this is what happened when he was in the hotel. This is so disturbing. They were trying to kick him out of the hotel.
Oh my gosh.
The hotel was like, no, you can't be here. You have to leave. You have to have a mask on. You have to have a mask on. While people are screaming, kill him, get him out of here, beat him. And they're like, no, you can't be here. Finally, the hotel didn't do it. The Nines Hotel in Portland didn't even care. Eventually what he did was he found a guest and said, please, will you please take me up the elevator? Just get me out of here. And eventually he had to go to the hospital. The pictures of him, he had a ruptured retina. He was bleeding all over his body from getting punched, thrown on the ground.
That's crazy.
In Portland, there was no police presence, guys, in the United States of America. So any thoughts or inclinations that we are not in a culture war?
Yeah. Well, and I think what's interesting is they've created a whole narrative to protect themselves, like you said, of
That's
like justice and like, well, you don't want to fight against people who are anti-racism and who are anti-bigots and who are for love. Like the narrative that they've created makes it where they have the upper hand, and we've allowed that. So it's a lot of it is a language war, which is really interesting. So
yeah, it is, and there's two different ways we fight this too, and I think this has kind of helped me understand things recently. That just kind of, I was praying one day and I felt like the Lord was speaking to me about this, is there's two different fights. There's a 3,000-foot perspective fight of the culture, and then there's an individual fight. Now, how do we wage war spiritually, even individually?
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing is prayer, love. How did Jesus win us? Through his love. Yeah. Through him laying down his life so that we could actually be born again, so that we could actually live, that we could actually get out of the bondage that we are in. And so many people are in bondage right now and don't even know how to get out.
Right.
There are people that are in leftism and Marxism that are so inundated with the idea that they're victims, that they're all these things that they don't even know, where do I look? And the first level is to love those people and to reach out to them and pray for them. Yeah. At the same time, we have to be a voice to our culture. Because right now, in what is the insanity of our culture has decried Pride Month, June, is just, even I looked at my Facebook, a good friend of mine that I had for multiple years recently left his family, left his wife, left his 2 kids because he came out of the closet as gay. Yep. And it really broke my heart, because you're destroying a family. You're destroying family after family after family, and you're touting it as a benevolent thing to our culture, that you should accept those that come out of the closet. Guys, here's the deal. I don't doubt that there is sin in this world, and that you might struggle with things happening in this world, guys, and that sin might pull on your heart, even in some pretty crazy directions. Yeah. But sin is not okay. Yeah. And you should not reinforce to your friends that are struggling with homosexuality, struggling with any of those types of sexual sins. You should not be the voice that said, hey, I know what you're going through, and it's okay.
Mm-hmm. I think here's what's encouraging, though, is that, like we said earlier about the political climate, the worse things get in the political climate, the more people you don't have to convince people to get involved. And it's the same thing with social issues. The more the enemy exposes his hand, which is what he's doing. He's not winning. When we look around and we see all these horrible things, it's not because the enemy is winning. Yeah. That's not what's happening. He's being exposed.
That's right.
All of these things that have been here are being uncovered, and he's overplaying his hand. He's exposing himself, and because of that, it gives the church an opportunity to stand up, to see what's really going on, and to encounter that culture with the truth and with the gospel and with love. And so I think it's often easy to get discouraged when you see how bad things are. Like, oh, we have a stolen election, like voter fraud is just taking over our country. How can we even trust the system anymore? Right. But it's not them winning. It's them being exposed. And to that we should say, praise the Lord, let's get involved, because we know we win.
That's right.
We know we win, and if you can encounter these people on the 3,000 foot view level, from like the whole big picture, we win that, and the individual. If you encounter someone with love and truth and give them that opportunity,
that's right.
Like it's honestly encouraging, and all you have to do is get involved in your communities, in your school board, in your church. I mean, it's really exciting. And I think that's the main thing. This is not the enemy winning. This is him being exposed for who he really is.
That's right.
He can't lie to us anymore.
That's right. Absolutely. It's easy to fight this battle the enemy's way.
Yep.
Just to destroy. But it is even more difficult, but even more rewarding when you fight in love for the individual.
Yep.
Absolutely. So, guys, what's happening locally with that, though, even more, another thing is at Oklahoma University, the awesome university, taxpayer-funded Oklahoma University, supposed to be just and supposed to be unpolitical in nature because it's taxpayer-funded. What's happening recently there is in Oklahoma, one of the girls on the volleyball team was released or being pressured to be released and facing disciplinary action because she refused to bow down to wokeism. And so she is suing the University of Oklahoma.
Good for her.
Yeah, amen. You see the picture over there in the article there. Essentially, she actually was very tolerant for a long time. She actually practiced tolerance in a time of intolerance, labeled as tolerance. She said, I'll go through this training, I'll even listen to it, but if I'm going to stick true to what I believe, my political beliefs, I'm not going to bow at every second to what you say I should or should not believe. And because of that, because of even a Facebook post saying she doesn't believe with this or doesn't stand with this group, she was removed from the volleyball team.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. In Oklahoma University. So, guys, if you're wondering, is this being taught to my kids in university? Yes, it is. If this is being taught to my kids even in public school at the local level?
It is.
Yes, it is. I've heard stories, local, small-town public school teachers, Black Lives Matter. You need to write an article about social injustice, and you can't write it about A, B, and C, and D. You can't write it about pro-life movement. You can't write about Donald Trump. You can't write about how he had an injustice done to him. You have to write it about Black Lives Matters. You have to write it about along these lines.
Yep.
So the thing that a lot of people try to defend the truth of is being used, when you know this, as an indoctrination camp for the enemy.
Yeah. But that's awesome. That's another example where the enemy overplayed his hand, went too far, and now this girl has the courage and the principle to stand up and be like, no, I'm going to sue you. And she's willing to fight. And I think that's another really cool thing that Jackson Wellmeyer always says. We need people who will fight.
Absolutely.
We cannot sit on the sidelines anymore. And you just see those people rising up everywhere, across the state, across the nation. More and more people who are willing and ready. And with people like the people that we encounter, we win. Like, it's so awesome. This girl's another example.
Amen.
A fighter.
And we'll see what happens with her case. But if you are in or you know of anybody that's your family, friend, that is in a university, in a public school, and the same thing's happening, let me just tell you, you should sue.
Yeah, absolutely.
As many times as you can, sue the tar out of them, because we can't. If we tolerate this, it's going to become more and more and more. And the even reason that we're at right now is because we've tolerated it for so long. We've been taught to be kind Christians, not do these things. Guys, if we don't make a stink about something, nobody's ever going to hear about it.
Yep, absolutely.
So that's what I'm saying. If you know anybody in a university, public school, you should be getting on that immediately. So, guys, let's move on to local events coming up. I know you guys are listening to this. You've probably seen our email, but we're asking for a favor. General Flynn is coming in the 26th. I think we've sent how many emails out about it now?
2 or 3.
2 or 3 emails about it. If you know of anyone that might be interested in coming to that event, we're asking that you would please share that event on your Facebook, social media. Also share the email that you can. It's going to be a phenomenal time. It's also going to be time for the people to come and actually hear an inspiring message that national platform speakers are talking about the things, talking about, hey, the election was stolen. And here in Oklahoma, we have an opportunity to come, be a part, listen.
It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be an awesome time.
And there are 2 events. There's one in Edmond in the morning with General Flynn and company, and then there will be one in the afternoon at 1 in Norman. So the Edmond one will be at 9, and the Norman one will be at 1, and they're both going to be different. So if you can afford to come to both, please do, because they're both going to be amazing. But we are super excited. It's going to be a cool time to get encouraged and equipped and kind of kick off the election season for next year, so we can make some more progress.
And it's always exciting. It's important to gather with like-minded people.
Yep.
Because there's something that happens with the energy in a room like that.
Absolutely.
It inspires, that motivates to keep going and to do more.
Absolutely.
It was those type of events that actually moved me into the direction of moving into politics in the first place. So you might be thinking, man, I've already heard it, already seen this type of thing. Still, if you can be in a room with people to incite excitement and even to be there with them, we encourage you to come and be a part. One of the few last things we want to talk about here, am I missing anything that you know of, Hannah?
I think that's it. Just these last couple things, and we should be good to go.
Awesome. Well, guys, one of the last things we're going to talk about is here we're starting a new trend of doing something every week, which is highlighting a legislator in the state of Oklahoma that you can reach out to, we're saying reach out to pray for, to support, and say kind things to. Like, hey, we just want to thank you for what you're doing for our state. We want to bless you and pray for you. Is there anything that we can do to do that? So Leah's getting ready to flash on the screen the information. The legislator for this week is Senator Chuck Hall. Senator Chuck Hall is over my Senate district here in Logan County. He's a godly man. Now, I don't agree with a lot of his votes. I don't agree with a lot of the bills he writes. He won't sign a bill of abolition, and there's a lot of things that he won't do. But at the same time, he is a Christian that I believe has a conscience and that loves God. And so, in the midst of us in the future, we're gonna be sending emails to him asking him, "Hey, would you please author this bill?" He needs to know that we're just not an organization that asks for something but doesn't support him in the midst and doesn't pray for him.
Well, because we're instructed as Christians to build up each other's faith and to encourage each other. And that doesn't mean you only get to encourage people who have everything 100% right and do everything correctly.
That's right.
Because none of us do. So I think regardless of some of his political stances, he is an image bearer of God. He is a Christian. Right. And so it's our job as the church to call that out to him and to encourage him in that and to build that part of him up and build a relationship with him. And the more relationship you have with someone, the more influence you have, the more ability you have to speak into his life, to speak truth, to confront him about things. But you can't just come up and be like, hey, Chuck Hall, didn't vote this way and how dare you. It doesn't work that way. Relationships don't work that way. He's not going to listen to you. I wouldn't listen to you if you just came up and told me that. It would be very difficult to listen to you. Right. But because that's not how the kingdom of God works. And I think that's even what we were talking about earlier with the aspect of the individual.
That's right.
So
absolutely. So guys, you see his email up there. If you wouldn't mind, please send him an email and say, hey, I'm such and such from the Ekklesia of Oklahoma, and I just wanted that I'm praying for you. I'm praying for you today. If there's anything that you need from me in prayer or anything for me to do, I'll be emailing you in the future to ask you to author bills. But I just want to first let my voice be known that I'm part of this organization, and we bless you.
Send him your favorite Bible verse.
That'd be great. Send him your favorite Bible encouraging verse. And thank you guys for doing that. We know that you guys are so awesome to do activism and continue to do those things like that. So thank you for that. And last but not least, guys, if you have any interest, Daniel right now and myself have been traveling the state and the nation with our team. And a lot of you guys make that possible through your donations.
Which also, Daniel right now is celebrating his 10th wedding anniversary.
Yes, we didn't even talk about why Daniel wasn't here. Some of you guys are like, why isn't that man there? He's the best speaker of them all. Not the best looking, but the best speaker. I know Daniel's listening to this. Kyle's not the best looking. It's true.
That only leaves me.
Yeah. Nice. So if you would like to book Daniel or myself for a speaking engagement to speak to your church, small group, 2, 3 people, 4 people, we will go. We will travel anywhere to share what God's doing in the state of Oklahoma, what God wants to do in government and every sphere of society, and especially how God wants to end abortion, not just regulate it in the state of Oklahoma. There is a picture of Daniel, that beautiful face, because we don't have him in studio. There he is right there. But you can reach out to us by emailing us at info@ekkok.com. And what else, Hannah, do we have before we close up the live stream?
I can't think of anything.
Anything at all? Oh, yes, one more thing. So one of our favorite people in the state of Oklahoma, Porter Davis. Porter, I hope you're listening to this. We love you, brother. He wanted us to let you know about a phenomenal grassroots training. This guy, if you've met Porter and talked to him for a little bit, if you're wondering what to do at a local level, precinct level, to change culture, this is the guy to key on. He's holding an event. Let me pull up the information on that really quickly. You say here, I'll read it straight from the script that I was given. Okay. Here it is. Or do you have that graphic pulled up? Thank you, Leah. Permanent, self-sustaining precinct organizations are the key to taking control of our government and surviving the coming chaos. That's Our grassroots team at OK County GOP is working hard to make this a great event. Here's the info. Please let me know if any questions. The training is in a week, so time is in the essence. Learn how you can help save our nation by serving and loving your neighbors. Any Republican wanting to learn can attend. First preference is for Oklahoma County voters as space permits. Others can attend, and pre-registration is acquired. Do you have the link in there too, or no? I'll send you the link real quick. We'll send you guys the link that you'll have it.
Man, that's awesome. And that just is exactly what we keep saying, that we have to start at a local level. You have to get involved with your community. And so this is just another opportunity for you to kind of learn how to do that, see how that works. And it's really not that hard. It's really, like, a lot of it really is just being there, building relationships, loving people, getting to meet people. And so this is just Porter does amazing stuff on a precinct level. And he really has a heart for Oklahoma. He really has a heart for building communities. And God has just really called him and gifted him in that area. And so this is a really cool opportunity for you to not only support him, but kind of learn from him and get to take something away from that and take it back to your own community.
Absolutely. And guys, finally, last but not least, everything that we do, that we can do in the state and the nation, is due to your guys' generosity.
Yep.
And so thank you so much, all who donate and give to our ministry, that enable us to do these live streams, enable us to reach out to legislators, send our emails out, to do speaking engagements, and to encourage the culture to honor God and to serve him. So, guys, we thank you so much for joining us this Friday. Wasn't as exciting as usual because we didn't have the awesome Daniel Nevejas with us. But, again, Leah, thank you in the background. Guys, thank Leah in the background for running everything. And if you have any questions, like I said, email us. You know where to get a hold of us. God bless and have a phenomenal weekend.
Thank you, guys.
Lift your hands to him all over this building. Oh, come on, friend. He's here. Oh, come on. Hey, lama sotoya. Come on, lift hands, lift voices to it. Oh, yeah. Lord, we declare this over the nation.